بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي فهم أولياءه في الدين والصلاة والسلام على ما قال من يريد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah, welcome back to our class on an introduction to Islamic law and its application, what I called the worshipper's workshop. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word worshipper in three contexts. Number one is the context of knowledge. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Number two is in the context of having a sound heart, talking about Sayyidina Ibrahim, and after calling him one of his ibad, before that he says, إِذْ جَاءَ رَبَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, that he brought a heart which is salim, which is sound. And then the third context is activism. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says towards the end of the 25th chapter of the Quran, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا, that the servants of Allah are those who walk on the earth and when they, with humility, and when they engage with people who are like haters, they say salama, salama. So three contexts the Quran uses the word servant, and we know the best name of a person is the slave servant of Allah, as mentioned by Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those are the three things that we want to bring into concert with one another: knowledge, sound hearts, and devotion and worship, and activism. Fiqh, alhamdulillah, is really the study of actions. Imam As-Suyuti, rahimahullah, he says in his poem on the text Jam' al-Jawami', he says, وَالْفِقْهُ إِلْمُ حُكْمُ الشَّرْعِ عَمَلِي. That fiqh is the knowledge of the rulings pertaining to actions, right? مُكْتَسَبٌ مِنْ طُرُقٍ لَا تُجْمَلِ, which are taken from, like, and we'll talk about this in usul fiqh, more particular evidences and adillah. So fiqh is really the knowledge of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. What makes an action acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what makes an action permissible, obligatory, rejected, and so on and so forth. So when we study fiqh, we're actually enhancing and creating a more distilled form and focused form of worship, mashallah. And alhamdulillah, we are now in a text, Matn al-Ishmawi, written by Abdul Bari al-Ishmawi. We talked about what is a madhab and what is fiqh and all this. And we started this text, and he says, Allah yarhamu, i'lam wafaqaqa Allahu ta'ala anna nawaqid al-wudu'i ala qismain. This is where we stopped, right? He says that those things which nullify wudu are two. Ahdath, and ahdath is the plural of hadith. And hadith is ma yanqudu al-wudu'a bi nafsih. A hadith is something which nullifies wudu on its own, right? So it's self-nullifying. For example, using the restroom, right? Wa asbab al-ahdath, and the second he said asbab al-ahdath, and asbab is the plural of sabab. The word sabab literally actually is a rope that was tied together, because when you tie a rope together, you use it to accomplish something, right? To pull out of a situation. And now it took on the figurative meaning, which is a cause. A cause. So he says, asbab al-ahdath, those things which cause hadath, like sleeping. Because when I sleep, I may pass gas, I may have some emission that is going to violate wudu. So sleeping now becomes a cause of something that violates wudu. So ahdath nullify wudu on their own. Asbab al-ahdath are those causes of the nullifiers. This is very, very important, because the word sabab is going to appear a lot. Another word used for sabab is illah, although there may be a slight difference, but let's just make it easy for everybody now. Cause. You find two words used for causes: illah and sabab. Illah with ayn and sabab. There are so many axioms that come out of Islamic law that rely on sabab. What is the definition in our epistemological framework? A sabab is ma yajibu bi wujudihi al-wujud wa bi adamihi al-adam. Allahu Akbar. A sabab is whose existence necessitates the existence of something else, and whose absence necessitates the absence of the existence of something else. So just like I use a rope to climb up, right? The sabab is going to cause something to happen, or the absence of that sabab, the absence of that cause is going to cause that thing not to be present. A great example of that is the zenith of the sun, right? When the sun reaches its zenith, that is a cause that makes dhuhr an obligation at that time. The time of dhuhr now comes in. And when the sun reaches the time of asr, its absence, the absence of the cause of dhuhr, now necessitates that dhuhr is finished. Those are called sabab or asbab. It's also very important in fatwa. If you're going to be answering the questions of the people and serving the people, you really want to be able, and as I teach you this class, I want you to think about it in three ways. The text, the evidences, the usul, and the qawa'id. I'm going to translate that for you in English. The matan, the text, the book of Imam Abdul Bari al-Ishmawi, Allah yarhamu. Number two is the evidences of the madhab. Number three is the interpretive lenses and axioms used to understand and apply those evidences that equal what you see in the text. So you can think about, I hate to say this because I hate the Lakers for the sake of Allah, the triangle offense, right? Well, this is the triangle. I'm running the triangle with you now. And what you want to do is you want to divide your notes into the meaning of the text, evidences, foundations, and interpretive lenses. Very, very important. One of the foundational axioms that we use in fatwa and answering questions for people is al-ahkamu tajri bi asbabiha, that rulings appear and disappear according to the appearance or absence of their causes, their asbab. Allahu Akbar. So that means the mufti, right, or the one answering questions, has to really understand the people that he or she is serving, because the asbab may change. Al-asbab da'iman tantaqilu wa tatagayyaru. Asbab are always in flux because people are different, subhanallah. So you want to remember this axiom in fatwa, al-asbabu tajri bi illaliha. For example, zakah. If a year has passed and I have saved enough money and I meet all the conditions of zakah, now that is a cause. That year became a cause for me to have to pay zakah. If I don't have that money, then I can't pay zakah. So the Shaykh, he says, ahdath wa asbab al-ahdath. He says, فَأَمَّا الْأَحْدَاثِ فَخَمْسَةٌ وَالْأَحْدَاثُ خَمْسَةٌ. He said that ahdath, those things that violate wudu on their own, are five. ثَلَاثَةٌ مِنَ الْقُبُلِ وَاثْنَانْ مِنَ الدُّبُرِ. Three are from the front private part area, and two are from the backside, right, from the anus. He says, and then we talked about this last time, that the first three are madhi, wadi, and bawl. Pre-seminal fluid, prosthetic fluid, and urine. And we took three evidences for each. What are the evidences? The first for pre-seminal fluid, one, and these aren't the only evidences for these, but we want to take this step by step, is the hadith of Sayyidina Ali, karramallahu wajha, who he said, you know, I was kuntu rajulan mudha'a. I was a person that experienced a lot of pre-seminal ejaculate, and I was shy, فَاسْتَحْيَيْتُ لِمَقَامِ ابْنَتِهِ, because of Sayyidah Fatima radiallahu anha, her status with her father, I was like shy to ask him. فَأَمَرْتُ مِقْدَادٍ, so I asked Miqdad. Here we see that it's permissible to ask someone to go and learn on your behalf. And that's why some ulama say it's permissible to ask your friend to get ijazah for you from the shuyukh. Because here Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu wa karramallahu wajh is asking Miqdad to do something for him related to knowledge. The second is permissible for the mustafti, the questioner, to go to the mufti with a question from his or her friend. MashaAllah, look how many things you can take from these ahadith. Wallahi, if you continue to learn with me at Swiss, you'll start to see layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of texts. It's very powerful. And that allows you to find more intersectionality in your life between the text and what you're experiencing. فَاسْتَحْيَيْتُ, I was shy, so I asked Miqdad to do it. And Miqdad, he went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he explained to him the situation. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded, and he said, you know, فَلْيَغْسِلْ ذَكَرَهُ وَيَتَوَضَّأ. Then the person who has this should wash his or her private parts and then make wudu. He's saying then make wudu is an evidence that pre-seminal nullifies wudu. Also, is something very interesting that we learn from this, and I'm not going to take too much of your time on these kind of issues, but some of my students are very advanced. So I have to give something for everybody here. That is permissible for the mufti to add or give additions to the answer. So here, especially when there is a need, we have an axiom that says, لا يجوز تأخر البيان بوجود الحاجة. It's impossible for us to believe that the Prophet ﷺ would have delayed clarifying something if there is a need. So here he adds to the answer. He not only says that the person should make wudu, he says also the person should wash themselves, make istinja. Like when the person asked the Prophet ﷺ about ma'ul bahr, we travel on the boat, the hadith in the Muwatta, we're traveling on the boat, and sometimes we don't have enough water, right, to make wudu. Like we didn't bring enough water with us. Can we make wudu with the water in the ocean? He said, ma'uhu tuhur. Right? He said that the water is pure and halal, and its lahma is halal. Meaning the fish in the sea are halal. He didn't ask the Prophet about fish in the sea, but he added to the answer because he, as a mufti, alayhi salatu salam, now functioning as a mufti, felt that this is a need the person may have. This is called ziyada bil fatwa or ziyada bil ifta. So also here, when Miqdad asked the Prophet ﷺ on behalf of Sayyidina Ali, karramallahu wajha, about this issue, the Prophet says, wash his penis and make wudu. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The art of fatwa is not a sloppy art, mashallah. The second thing was al-wadi, which is prosthetic fluid. And we said there's no evidence in the Quran and Sunnah for this explicitly. This is what Imam Ibn al-Hazm, rahimahullah, called Imam Ibn Hazm. He called al-maskutu anha, something that the Sharia didn't address. So here is where we have qiyas, analogy. And just as a person making qiyas, a tailor makes bespoke for you, and he makes sure that the clothes fit, the one who's making qiyas has to make sure that these two things fit. What are the two things? The first is the act that has no ruling in the Quran and Sunnah, in this case, prosthetic fluid, with something that is similar to it that has a ruling in Quran or Sunnah, and this is, for example, urine. So now the tailor, being the faqih, is going to make them work together. If it's a perfect fit, this is called qiyas bishibh or ma'a shibh, meaning a qiyas with its exact equivalent. And that equivalency between them is called sabab. Oh, they have a shared sabab, a shared cause. If the cause is present in both of them equally, this is called qiyas bishibh or ma'a shibh. Qiyas with its equivalent. If the cause is not very present in the thing that has no ruling, so we're trying to take a ruling and apply it to it, but that cause isn't very strong or it's very weak, this is called qiyas ma'al fariq. It's rejected. And if the cause is greater in the act that has no ruling, more than the act that has a ruling, this is called qiyas jalli, explicit qiyas, clear qiyas, right? Jalli means something is extremely clear, it's right in front of you without any doubt. For example, as I talked about last time, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفْ, don't say to your parents. Well, hitting them is worse. And this is where marijuana comes in. This is where so many things come in as a discussion amongst the fuqaha. So we have to appreciate now scholarship is something very important. And we need to appreciate the methodology of our deen and the epistemological framework of our religion and not be enamored by others. So al-wadi, the evidence is qiyas with urine. And then the third is bawl, and we said that's the hadith of Sayyidina Safwan ibn Asal radiyallahu anhu. Said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while they were traveling, he ordered them not to remove their socks unless they were in a state of sexual defilement, for ghusl, but not for sleeping, not for urine, and not for feces. Here we understand that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying those things only have to have wudu, where sexual defilement has to have ghusl. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So 3 evidences for the 3 things we touched on. If you notice, 2 of the evidences are coming directly from the text, right? So these evidences are called manqula. Remember this. Imam al-Tilmisani will talk about his book in the future in Usul al-Fiqh, Miftah al-Wusul. He says, al-manqulat, those things which manqul means narrated from the Quran. Ana anqul ayatan min al-Quran, anqilu hadithan min ahadith Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So ana arwi, marwiyat. So the first type of evidences are what's called manqulat. The second type of evidences is where the mind now is functioning with great propensity, and that's called al-ma'qulat. So the mind is discerning, and that's qiyas. Qiyas is the ma'qula. So now you learned something very important, and I'm teaching you the backside of the website, if you will. And that is that 2 of the evidences we used. The first is the evidence to quote of the Prophet from Sayyidina Ali through Miqdad. The third is the hadith of Safwan ibn Asal. Those are going to be what? Manqulat or marwiyat? Those are going to be manqulat, or ma'qulat. Marwiyat or ma'qulat? Which one? Are they going to be evidences that came through narration or came through the usage of a scholar's intellect? You tell me. Qiyas of prosthetic fluid with urine, is that coming specifically from the text, or is there a mind involved or minds involved that are discerning this as an evidence and deriving it as an evidence? Istinbat. Is that going to be ma'qulat or manqulat? I'm not going to tell you. You can tell me. You can email me and tell me, insha'Allah ta'ala. That takes us now to the second part of this first chapter, when he says, وَثْنَانِ مِنَ الدُّبُرِ, that 2 of the hadith out of the 5 come from the backside. And he mentions them, al-gha'it wal-rih, and that is feces and passing gas. Remember, when we talk about passing gas in a minute, I'm going to teach you one of the 5 foundational axioms of Islamic law. Put this in your radar, put it in your notes right now. 5 foundational axioms of Islamic law. One of them is coming out of the discussion around passing gas when someone breaks wudu. First of all, al-gha'it, feces, is found in the hadith of Safwan ibn Asal, we just mentioned. Asal was seen, sorry, not was sad. Safwan ibn Asal, ayn and seen. Safwan ibn Asal, and his narration says, but he told us we didn't have to remove our socks. For what? For feces, for sleeping, or for urine. So that's the evidence for that. The other evidence is, and there's more than one, I'm just giving you a little, is the 6th verse of the 5th chapter of the Quran. أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدٌ مِّنكُم مِّنَ الْغَائِطِ. When you come from the gha'it is actually a place where people used to go and do number 2 in the desert. The Prophet ﷺ teaches us, and the Quran teaches us how to use good language. So it mentions ism makan, right? It used the name of the place, bima'na al-amal, al-amalu fi. Like masjid is the place of sujood. So the gha'it is the place where people would use the restroom. So the Quran says, if you come from there, you have to make tayammum. If you don't have water, if you have water, then you have to make wudu. The last he said is ar-rih, passing gas. We take this from the hadith of Sayyiduna Abi Hurayrah radiyallahu anhu, who said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, he said, if any of you are praying, وَيَجِدْ فِي بَطْنِهِ شَيْئًا, and you feel something in your bowels, a bowel movement, وَأَشْكَلَ عَلَيْهِ هَلْ يَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ شَيْءٌ أَمْ لَا, أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, did something happen? Did I break wind or not? You're not sure, you're in a state of doubt. فَلَا يَخْرُجَنَّ مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ حَتَّى يَجِدَ رِيحًا أو يسمع صوتا أو يجد ريحا. Prophet said, then do not leave salah. And here he used the word masjid, even though he means فَلَا يَخْرُجَنَّ مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ. He says masjid because to show like it's integral, the place of salah, the best place of salah is the masjid. So don't leave the masjid until, means don't break salah until he hears it or he smells it. A lot of times people have waswas, man, did I break my wudu or not? I don't know. So the whole salah, they're like going back and forth in their minds. Man, I don't know, did I break wudu? I don't know what happened. They start freaking out. The axiom that we take from this, outside of this being the evidence that passing gas breaks wudu is a hadath, is one of the major 5 axioms of Islam. And that is al-yaqinu la yazulu bi-shak, that certainty cannot be overcome by doubt. Remember this, write this down, etch it into your brain. Al-yaqinu la yazulu bi-shak, certainty cannot be removed with doubt. So here I'm in salah, I'm not sure did I break wudu or not. I am sure that I had wudu, so that's the yaqeen. I'm doubting now in the existence of wudu. I'm not allowed to leave salah without being certain. Al-yaqinu la yazulu bi-shak. This is very important. And this axiom is going to keep coming and coming and coming and coming as we study fiqh. I can share with you now those 5 major axioms of Islamic law, what are called the qawaid khamsa, the 5 foundational axioms. Imam as-Suyuti, he mentions them in his poem Kawkab as-Sati' ala Jam' Jawami', when he says that the foundations of fiqh harrara have been, brought out by the ulama, ashabuna, that have been brought out by our scholars. And what are those? He said, bishakki la yuzalu al-yaqinu. The first is wa bishakki la yuzalu yaqinu, that doubt cannot remove certainty. What is the second? Wa anna al-mudararu wa annahu wa anna al-mudarara yuzalu, harm should be removed. What a beautiful deen, man. What a beautiful deen. And the third, wa bishakki yajlibu taysira, and that difficulty brings ease. We'll talk about what are mushaqqa in the future, like being sick and traveling, forgetfulness. All these fall under mushaqqat. وَأَنَّ مُشَقَّةَ تَجْلِبُ التَّيْسِيرَ. And then the next, وَأَنَّهُ الْعَادَةُ الْمَصِيرُ. And that the fourth is that custom can decide things in certain situations. وَزَادَ بَعْضُهُمْ خَامِسَ الْقَائِدِ. And some of them they added a 5th. وَأَنَّ لِكُلِّ إِمْرِئٍ مَقَاصِدَ. And that for everyone is what they intended, meaning actions are by the intention. So what are the 5 axioms? Write them down, because they're going to keep coming. And even in other classes like the 40 hadith, you're going to find me talk about them. Number 1 is certainty cannot be removed by doubt. That's the hadith that we took now from Abu Hurairah. Don't leave salah unless you're certain. Number 2 is harm is removed. Ad-dararu yuzal. Number 3, al-mushaqqa tajibu taysir, that difficulty brings ease. Number 4, al-urfu muhakkam, that custom at certain situations can become a decider in Islamic law. And then the 5th, al-umuru bimaqasidiha, that actions are based on their intentions, on the reasons behind them. So alhamdulillah, let's quickly review what we took and then we'll stop inshaAllah. Our understanding of Matan al-Ishmawi and running the triangle offense as you study it with me. Islamic law is my specialty, right? I haven't taught Islamic law at Swiss because I'm scared. I take it very seriously. And I want to make sure that I teach it well and correctly, and that I help build and furnish things in your mind that ultimately will make you autonomous, and you can come back and teach me and offer your critical reflections and constructive reflections. So we said this chapter on the ahdath, the things that nullify wudu on their own, are 5. 3 from the front, 2 from the back. And that got us to talk about asbab al-ahdath, which we haven't even gotten to yet. And the word asbab, causes, and how al-ahkam tajri bi asbabiha, that rulings function according to their causes. Write that axiom down. And then that took us into the 5 things that tanqudu wudu bi nafsiha, they cause wudu to be nullified. Number 1 we said was what? Was pre-seminal fluid. Pre-ejaculate, male or female? The strong opinion is for male or female. The hadith which is used for this is the hadith of Sayyidina Ali karramallahu wajh. Number 2 we said is al-wadi, prosthetic fluid. What is the evidence for that? Qiyas with urine. The 3rd is urine. What is the evidence for that? The hadith of Safwan ibn Asal with Ain Asal seen, about traveling with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then that took us to the next 2, which are from the dubur, not dubar, dubur. And that is feces and passing gas. And feces, we said, first of all, the hadith of Safwan ibn Asal. The second is the evidence of the Quran, the 6th verse of the 5th chapter. أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدٌ مِّنكُم مِّنَ الْغَائِطِ. You came from the gha'it. Then you have to purify yourself before you pray. And then rih, the hadith of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that talks about if you are not certain that you passed gas while you're praying, don't leave until you're certain. And we took the axiom from that, al-yaqinu la yazulu bi-shak. And then we took the 5 axioms, foundational axioms of Islamic law across madhabs, although they may differ in their application. Is what? Certainty is not removed by doubt. Number 2, harm is removed. Number 3, difficulty brings ease. Number 4, a custom can become an interpretive lens and decider. And number 5 is what? Actions are based on the attention. Barakallahu fikum. Wa jazakum Allahu khairan. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi